Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today's topic is Poppy Playtime, and before anyone asks, the gameplay is Exit 8 because on PlayStation you have to pay for the first chapter, and I'm not going to pay for Poppy Playtime. But in today's video, I want to talk about the problems I have with the game series, and honestly the problems I have with the fans glazing the fuck out of Chapter 5 and pretty much Chapter 4 and 3, because I think that genuinely this game series has gone way downhill, and there are way too many people glazing this and not being able to take valid criticism. And I have a huge list here, starting with the first thing is, and this is for overall, since like Chapter 3 there have been way too many puzzles. Way too many puzzles. Chapter 3 is when that started happening. And I mean, yes, Chapter 2 had some puzzles, but at least there were enemies that were going to kill you while doing said puzzles. Chapter 3, there's only like 3 times that occurs, and only one of them was really well done, which was the catnap thing. Chapter 4 did a lot of that type of puzzles, but they also got to the point where they literally repeated a puzzle with just a different, like, villain or toy hunting you down. And then Chapter 5, they quite literally only did one, and that was with the Huggy, and you had to get the 3 batteries to open that fucking door, or the whatever you fucking call it. Second thing, overall, is I personally think that horror mascots that do the chapter bullshit need to, like that's the whole reason why it's gonna fail. It needs to stop. Just release a full game at this point. I'm, like, tired of seeing Chapter 1 is free, Chapter 2 you gotta pay more, Chapter 3 you're gonna be paying more than that, Chapter 4, hell, get ready to pay more. And it's like, especially because most of the time, they don't get better. Most of the time, they really just don't get better. And also, it's just like, having that year gap between, you know, kind of important lore that's easily forgettable, which, is kind of the thing Poppy Playtime has nowadays, is lore is very easily forgettable, in my opinion, between each chapter. And, yeah, they just need to stop doing that. Alright, so Chapter 3 I want to talk about. This is when I knew the game series was going to die. I personally felt that this was the most boring chapter. I mean, hell, I watched Mark play for the first time, didn't like it, watched Sean play it, fell asleep. There's only been 2 times where I have fallen asleep during a YouTube video, and I was not trying to fall asleep. That is, in my opinion, the worst thing you could possibly have happen. And it was because of the puzzles. The puzzles are just not fun to deal with. Anyway, so the 2 problems I have with Chapter 3 is, first of all, the puzzle sequences, which I mentioned, with the monsters. They're usually hit or miss. Like, the catnap one was good. The Mist the Light one, it's kind of like you can complete it in like 5 to 10 minutes. It's not that difficult. And then the Smiling Critters one, where you're like in that playpen thingy, it's just easy because you have the flare gun. The second problem I have with Chapter 3, Mist the Light is literally a useless character and should not have been created. Like, I see why she's there, but also at the same time, it's like, there were, like, 7, well, there's a whole, okay, so Chapter 3, there's a whole line of Smiling Critters, right? There's 8 of them. Catnap, you know, is the main one. You do eventually see Dog Day, but, like, there's 6 more. Why not use, like, another one of them? You know how cool that would have been? Like, why are we not using those characters? You made them, and they are, in my opinion, the Smiling Critters are the most intriguing Poppy Playtime toys, but they just don't use them. They just don't use them for some reason. It's really fucking weird. But no, instead they decide to make a whole character like Miss Delight, and it's like, why? You literally made a whole line of toys that you could use there, and you're not gonna use them. So, alright, Chapter 4. I also have two problems, and one of them I kinda mentioned. The Baba Sheep section is literally useless. Either that, or they should have done that first. But they had a section literally right before it that was pretty much the exact same thing, only with, I think, the smaller... I don't remember, because I've only seen that chapter once. I don't feel like rewatching that chapter. I don't feel like rewatching chapter 3, and I definitely don't feel like rewatching chapter 5, but there was, like... I know there was, like, 2 sections like that, because Markiplier literally mentioned it, and I do remember that because the criticisms are really easy to remember for these games. Yeah, but yeah, though, there was like 2 sections, basically similar. Baba Sheep was like the second one. The first one, I think, was with Smiling Critters. And it's like, why are we doing the same damn thing? It was either that or the Doctor. I don't remember. Anyway, the second problem I have with Chapter 4 is the Doctor and the morality to kill a toy. Why does he want to know where my morality stands on killing a toy? Why would that matter? Second of all, why should I give a fuck not to kill the toy? I've been getting chased by toys, almost hunted down and killed. Poppy betrayed me. Fucking Kissy Missy almost attacked me. Why the fuck should I care? Like, if personally me, at that point, I would just be killing everybody. Why should I care about saving a toy, even if there's a child in there, when they have been trying to kill me basically the whole time I've been there? It's a really stupid, like, thing, in my opinion, and it just doesn't make sense. Alright, the one I'm most excited to talk about, the very mixed opinions on this one from most people, and the one that gets glazed the hardest in my opinion. Chapter 5. First things first, let's start with the useless characters. I mentioned Miss Delight as a useless character. This game, or this chapter, has 2 of them. Where do I even begin? Alright, let's start with Chum. And the only reason I remember these names is because I wrote them down. Because if I hadn't, I guarantee I would have forgot Chum's name, because I already did it twice before. But Chum is a character that shows up for like, what, 10 minutes? Has like 10 minutes of screen time. Useless. Useless. No reason for him to even be in that chapter. If you had cut him out, there would, like, literally, you wouldn't even tell that he was supposed to be there. All he does is, like, put you in his mouth and hides you. There was no reason for that character to be in there at all. And for some reason, he's there. Don't know why. And then we have our second character, Gilbert. He's there for twice as long, and he does fuck all. At least Chum did something. This character does fuck all. All he does is stand around and whine about not being a hero. Which, goddamn, we got it the first time. Clearly not. Holy shit, like, why are those characters even there? You could just take them out of there and you would not have known that they were supposed to be there. Alright, second thing. Lily Love Braids, or if that's even her name, I don't fucking remember. I think that's her name. The connection with her and Gracie, I'm gonna be honest, the way they did it was not the best, in my opinion. It's very hard to follow, considering that you end up hearing about the tape, I think, first, that, you hear Gracie going insane and shit, and you would think, oh, she's probably becoming a toy, or something like that. And then, you get to like house, and it's like you check her bed and there's a fucking skeleton, and it has her ID, Gracie's ID card. So it's like, is she dead? Is she dead? Is the toy like a manifestation of her soul or some shit, or like what happened? Like there's not enough clarity in my opinion. I mean, I've seen people say that the toys turned her into a toy. Cool. It's not very well explained, which leads to another problem that I'm going to talk about in a bit. But the third problem I have with this chapter, and this is, God, this is stupid, how the kids got brainwashed. Now, look, I love that. It was the most creepiest part of the chapter. I will give it that. It was the creepiest and most disturbing shit was those tapes and like how they manipulated the kids and shit. But why is it in chapter 5? That is something you should have done in chapter 2 or 3. At least then, maybe you'll feel bad for killing the kids or the toys. But no, they don't set up that connection at all. It's hard for me to be sympathetic towards something when I don't know that they were being literally, God, I forget the word, but trained to basically kill people. They were basically being trained to kill people. Yet yet they don't even like have that lore in an earlier chapter where at least it would make you feel bad for the toys. No, they set it up in the second to last, which should have been the last chapter, if we're being honest here. It's just like stupid. Like, why would you not have that connection earlier in the game series? At least then it would make you feel bad about killing a toy. Alright, the fourth one. Oh, good lord, yeah, no. The prototype design. I'm gonna be straight up honest. I was entirely expecting more of like an endoskeleton design. Like, not much color, other than maybe what he took off of toys. But if I'm being honest, the prototype design was honestly kind of the most predictable thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know why, but when I saw it, I was just like, yeah, no. I kind of expected something like that. I don't know what it was. It was just like the most predictable design I think I've ever fucking seen ever. I literally can't explain it, but it's just like I just kind of expected it. It was weird. Anyway, the next thing, this is a very big pet peeve of mine. Important lore should not be behind missable tapes or notes. One example of that I fucking am mad about is the prototype reveal of it being Ollie or Elliot Ludwig's son. I think it's both. I'm not too sure still, but I know it's one of those. And it's like, why is that not in the cutscene? Why is that not in the cutscene? Why is that in a tape or a paper? I don't know where it's from, but it's from something. And it's like, why is that not in the cutscenes? That is one of the biggest lore drops, I think, in the games, personally, and you just do not. It's just, it's not in the fucking cutscenes at all. It's weird. The other thing I have is the Inside Outimals ad at the beginning of Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 is quite literally useless, considering that not only are they not even that important to the story, but again, they're just quite literally useless, and someone pointed out that they're probably doing that just to sell merch, in which I would not be fucking surprised at all. Like, holy shit. It just is stupid. Now, the rest of this I don't really have anything written down for, but I want to talk about streamers criticizing Chapter 5 and just the hate they got. Because in my opinion, I think it's unjustified hate, considering that their takes are very valid with evidence. There is quite literally evidence that supports what they are saying, and yet Poppy Playtime fans will still glaze the fuck out of the game and pretend like there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, holy shit. The puzzles. Let's start with that one. For Chapter 5, literally the game was 30 minutes of puzzles, 10 minutes of lore. 30 minutes of puzzles, 10 minutes of lore. Maybe a few chase sequences here and there. Either way, if you had cut that chapter by like 3 hours, you would have lost no lore whatsoever. You would probably still go out of there thinking the same exact thing. And I think it would be a better chapter if they had done that. Because if I'm being honest, just like, why? Just why is it 5 hours? You could literally you could cut 3 hours. But anyway, back to the streamer's defenses. And this is how I knew chapter 5 was shit. Because I was in Mark's stream practically the whole time, except for the few times that it crashed and my Wi-Fi was being a little funky. But I was pretty much in there the whole time. And I thought I liked the game when I was watching it. But then I realized more and more that no, I don't. I did not like the chapter. What I liked was watching Mark play the chapter. And it's not even just playing the chapter, it's more so just watching Mark live. Like, that's when I realized, oh yeah, no, this chapter is shit. Yeah, I'm like, when I was, because like, at that point, I think I was only watching it because of Mark. Like, the only person I've seen play chapter 5 is Mark, and that's the only person I probably will ever watch play chapter 5. Because honestly, when chapter 3 came out, I was very disappointed. And I also want to say something about chapter 3. That's kind of a, not a hot take, but more so like a fan base being hypocrites. By chapter 3, I think the game series started turning into Garten of Banban with puzzles. Like, they just had way too many puzzles, like Garten of Banban. But I guarantee you, if you ask any Poppy Playtime fan, they will glaze the hell out of it because they're biased as hell. And it's like, bro, it's the same damn situation. You criticize Garten of Banban for having so many puzzles. How about criticize your own game series that you love for having that? Because at least I can criticize games I love for doing shit that I don't like in other games. You know, it's like really like biased as fuck that people are just like let that shit slide. In my opinion. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is how personally I think the characters. I think I want to talk about the characters the most. Because I think personally, after chapter 3, they did not need to introduce any new characters. They had a whole line of smiling critters. We have had characters from chapter 1 and 2 that we have not seen yet. There literally are so many characters from chapter 1 and 2 that we have not even seen. It is crazy. And yet they choose to add characters like Chum and Gilbert, which again, together in total have 30 minutes of screen time in a game that's like 5 hours. It's very weird, and they do fuck all. I don't know why that, like, they didn't use those characters, like the dancing robot dude, the Daddy Longlegs, the baby Longlegs. There's a few more. There was Candy Cat until they ripped the head off and did that, but there's still other characters of like the smiling critters. There's that sunflower from chapter 2. Bet you didn't remember that character, but they could have used that one. Don't know why they didn't. They just made them to make them, I guess. And actually, my final thought, because I just remembered this, and I didn't write this down, but chapter 5 should have been the last chapter. I want to talk about, like, because, like, genuinely, they spent this. Okay, so this chapter is 5 hours. Again, I want to point that out because that is stupid. Because, again, like, 60% of it is useless. That 60% of useless shit in chapter 5 could have been spent wrapping up the game series in that chapter. That last 60%, they could have used that way more effectively. That's how I know they're milking the shit out of this game. Because if they really had the balls to fucking do shit, they would have fucking ended up using that 60 useless fucking percent to do something with the prototype to make it to where chapter 5 at least makes sense as a concluding chapter. But no, they didn't do shit. That's how I know they were milking it. Because why? Why is there 3 hours of useless content? Couldn't fucking tell you. Don't know. Couldn't fucking tell you. Especially when they could have used it on the prototype to make the chapter ending make sense. But they didn't do it. I don't know why. But that'll be it for today's video. Kinda got a little mad. Mostly because I'm tired of seeing people glaze the fuck out of this game series that has fallen off since chapter 3 in my opinion. But and I want to preface this with saying you can love the games. I am not hating on people who love the games. But I am hating on people who pretend like there is nothing wrong with it and criticize other games for doing something that their game series does. It's just not cool. Like, I've criticized some of my favorite games and I still love them. Like, I've been doing the Spider-Man 2 series, but like, in short, I don't hate anyone who loves the games. I really don't. If you want to love the games, go ahead, go do that. I won't make fun of you for loving them. But when you start to pretend like there's no problems with any of the chapters and start saying that, you know, some of them are the best, even though, I mean, there's a very weird stuff, and, you know, just glazing overall, it starts to become a problem of just being not fair toward other games, in my opinion. I think that's like the biggest thing, is like not being fair towards other games, you know. But that's all I want to say. So hope you have a great day. See you in the next video.